Hello and welcome back to Getaway Day. My name is Mason, his name is Gautam, and we are here for episode 67. The All-Star Week is starting here next week, but it starts on Monday. We don't record until Wednesday after the game, so we're going to talk about as much All-Star Game stuff as we can today. We want to talk a little bit about the Home Run Derby. We want to talk a little bit about the futures games, both past and future. We want to talk about a lot of stuff that's going on in baseball right now. So before we do that, if you enjoy our podcast, please make sure to go subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcasting app or YouTube. It helps us out a ton. Let's see. So that way you won't miss any future episodes as well. Make sure to let us know your thoughts through the YouTube comments or leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or reaching out to us on Twitter, Facebook, or TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. Tons of ways to interact with us now. We're getting better at using some of those social platforms. So give us a reason to keep getting into it. And reach out to us and let's chill. All right. So all that boring stuff out of the way. Gowie, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great, and All-Star time is a fun time, right? We got really exciting games to be played and events to be watched. It'll be a good time in this coming week.
Oh yeah, the All-Star game is packed with stuff this week or this year. So
and the draft.
So that's something I was going to mention. So with let me actually pull it up so I'm being accurate here. But I believe the futures game is on Saturday. Let's see, here's the lineup of stuff. Hopefully that's not going to play audio. Yeah, here we go. So there's an MLB The Show tournament being played on Monday. And so that'll be on I believe it's the MLB The Show Twitch and on YouTube. Our friend of the pod, Ashley Sanders, will be playing in that. It's going to be really cool. So they're doing 8 MLB The Show content creators and 8 like general influencers. So I think Ashley is paired up with a Madden streamer actually for this. So that'd be really cool. And then I think so the Futures game's on Saturday. The draft is on Sunday. The All-Star Creators Cup and the red carpet the All-Star Creators Cup and the Home Run Derby are on Monday. The red carpet and the All-Star game are on Tuesday. So we got a lot of stuff going on. So make sure to check it all out because it'll be really, really cool. It's being done in LA this year, and I have a feeling they're going to do it right. So, yeah. But before we get into all the All-Star Game stuff, I think we have some other This Week in Baseball topics we need to talk about first. What do you think?
Yes.
All right. Big news of the day. We have had our third manager firing of the regular season, which is pretty unheard of in this day and age of baseball, is it not?
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Yeah, so we've had Joe Girardi. We've had Joe Maddon, which that one I think was justified. And then today, Charlie Montoyo of the Toronto Blue Jays was let go the day after getting a victory, I will add. Same as Joe Girardi. And so he was relieved of his duties today. And then I believe John Schneider is the bench coach is now becoming the interim manager. So I'm curious your thoughts on this because I know I talk to T-Rat all the time and he's a big Blue Jays fan. So I kind of know his opinions. I want to hear what your thoughts are.
Initial thought is that this is one of those situations where they just got to kind of get people fired up and make a dramatic kind of firing sacrifice, if you will, of the manager. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the players on the Blue Jays that are causing the situation. They're the driving factor in where they are in the standings right now, which is not where they were expecting to be. They thought that they could be the best team in the AL East, and they're not there. They're way behind the Yankees. They're struggling to keep up with the Rays and the Red Sox as well. Just lots of little things about this team, underperformances from some key players. I guess I can't argue with the logic behind it, but I also didn't really see it coming, I guess.
Yeah, so and to add to your point, like, they're not playing horribly. They're 46 and 42. They're unfortunately in a division where all 5 teams are 500 or better 88 games into the season, which is unheard of. And they're in 4th place. They're only a game behind. They're only a game and a half behind 2nd place. Like, they're right there in the thick of it. But the team has just been playing so not to their standards. Their run differential through 88 games is plus 10. And this is a team that is basically built on offense with guys like Vladdy, guys like Bo, guys like Teoscar and Lourdes, Alejandro Kirk, who's been just phenomenal on offense this year. He's like the only guy who's been phenomenal on offense this year, it seems so far. And then you saw last night, Charlie made a challenge of a play that Vladdy was telling him the entire time, do not challenge this play. You were going to lose the challenge. They lost the challenge, and Vladdy was not happy about it. And
wow, so Vladdy called this firing? Is that what you're telling me?
I think Vladdy's frustration showed why he was fired. I don't think he called his firing necessarily, but yeah, I do think the writing has been on the wall for Charlie for a while. I think it might have been the wrong time to do it, but not from the standpoint that they should have waited.
That's funny that you say that, because wasn't this a guy that was getting a bunch of manager of the year kind of love last year for guiding this team?
Yes, that's true. That is very true. Now, I think where maybe the difference is we were talking about how you and I have talked, like, other off the pod, about how guys like when the Cubs were really young, guys like Joe Madden was great for that team. He's great at managing young teams, a team who is developing and getting to the precipice of being good. And then all of a sudden now it's like the team has outgrown him. And I think that might be kind of between last year and this year where Toronto has gone. Is I think maybe Charlie is a good young players manager, and this team is now matured enough in the big leagues, even though they're still really, really young, that they just need a guy who's a little bit more, okay, this is your thing. I'm just here, support you. I think that's what they need, and I don't think that's what Charlie's been giving them. So, because I thought Charlie was a great manager for a long time, but something's just been off this year, and it's pretty obvious that he's kind of lost the clubhouse. So,
yeah, I guess I don't really have the best read on that situation. I don't really have much of an opinion on Charlie Montoyo. Maybe that's why I was surprised in the first place.
That could be. Yeah, because it's one of those that, like, we really don't hear very much about it. The only reason I do is because of T-Red. So become friends with Canadians, and you'll hear a lot about it.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah. All right, but so that's kind of talking about the Blue Jays, but let's talk about another team in the AL East who has not been playing to expectations. I say it like that, and then now I'm going to sit here and tell you that the Baltimore Orioles just went on a 9-game... No, sorry, didn't just go on. They are still on a 9-game winning streak. The Baltimore Orioles, the team that has lost 100 games like the last 4 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Obviously, they didn't lose 100 in 2020, but they probably would have. Yeah, let's see. When's the last time they actually? Okay, so they lost 87 in 2017. They lost 115 in 2018, 108 in 2019, and 110 in 2021. So yeah, they've essentially lost 100 games in 4 straight years, and now all of a sudden they're 44 and 44, and only 2 games back of Toronto for a wild card.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like, what is going on there? Like, what?
Honestly, I'm not gonna praise them here. Okay, that's what you're expecting me to do, but I'm gonna say that like it's kind of annoying that this is happening because the Orioles, the 2022 Orioles at the beginning of the season, in the offseason, they weren't built to be a good team. They didn't make any free agent additions. They didn't swing any trades for competing this year. They just happened to be playing super well, and people are giving them credit for it.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to do that right now.
And that's kind of why I'm confused, because it's like Cedric Mullins is still the best player on the team, and he's not what he was last year. Granted, it was pretty obvious that he was probably going to regress a little bit from that amazing 30-30 season last year. But like it doesn't make sense to me. Like, they don't have any semblance of a rotation that's any good. Their bullpen's been really solid. And if they can get to Jorge Lopez with a lead, they're probably going to keep the lead and win the game. But like, all of a sudden, Jorge Mateo's gone off and hit like 2 or 3 home runs over the last week or something. He's at 7. Jorge Mateo is not a guy who I thought could hit 7 home runs in a season, period. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. And getting back to what they've done, like they haven't reinvested the money, they just save the money every year. Their payroll is like 64 million. Their highest paid player is Trey Mancini at 7.5 million. I'd like to see some more from the Orioles. We talked about them, like, I feel like we've been talking about them every week for a while now, but they gotta take the next step next year.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Because if not, then they'll be back to 100 losses. It's not that difficult to see that happening again.
Yeah. And they do, and I know we keep talking about, or I keep talking about this at least, like, they do have prospects coming up, but like, they need to put money into vets that are going to be able to lead these young prospects and get to the point where Toronto's at now, where after a couple years of their guys being incredibly young, now they're all settled into the league and they're all-stars in their own right. And now they're on the precipice of being good, or of being an amazing team, and making the playoffs and all that good stuff. But like, this Baltimore team is not there. They're not even remotely there yet. They're playing really well in probably the toughest division in the majors. And it's just really misleading. Like, a 9-game winning streak is nothing to turn your nose at. Like, that's a really good run. But it feels like there's a lot of luck involved here, because I don't buy it. This doesn't seem real to me.
Yeah. Would be funny if they just decided, hey, we're going to go for it, and didn't trade any of their expiring contracts and actually traded for someone. That would be hilarious.
Yeah. All right. On the other side of that, another 9-game winning streak that I think, I haven't looked too much into the exact like way that the 9 games is gone to make this statement like based in anything, but I do think this one's real based on kind of the expectations coming into the season, and that's the Seattle Mariners. They're finally starting to click. Like, I thought this was a team that last year they overperformed big time. I can't remember. They were like the first team out of the playoffs. Is that right?
Yeah, they and the Blue Jays were those last 2 teams that won 90 games and still didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and Seattle way overperformed.
Yeah. They had like one of the luckiest seasons ever.
Yep.
So this year, there were the expectations that they would be really good, but we weren't going to be too surprised if they didn't make the biggest jump because we knew that the previous season was so extremely lucky.
Yeah. And they got off to admittedly a pretty horrible start this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was, I think Seattle was in fourth place for the longest time behind Houston, who understandably is in first place. And then I think it was the Angels and then Texas and then them. And then the Angels fell off. Texas was still really good.
Even now, Oakland was like pretty close to them. They were neck and neck with Oakland for the last place, actually, for a while at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, that's true. And Seattle's dealt with a lot of injuries. Mitch Haniger, I don't think, has played yet. Has he?
He hasn't played since. I mean, he played at the beginning of the year, but he's been hurt for a while.
Yeah, but he only played like one game, maybe. Then he got hurt.
He played more than that. He played at the beginning of the season. He was really good. Then he came back from some COVID or some injury, and then he got injured in his first game back.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they've had a lot of injuries. They're two big trade pieces that they got this offseason in Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez. We're not really playing all that well. Eugenio was actually playing, I guess, solid, better than... but Jesse Winker was not playing well at all. It seemed like the rotation just couldn't figure it out. Robbie Ray was not pitching well. And then now all of a sudden they're on a 9-game winning streak. And the standings is starting to look a lot more like what I expected at the beginning of the year. Seattle does currently have a wild card spot. They're kind of right where I expected them to be before the year started. And they're doing it with a positive run differential, which is something they did not do last year.
Yeah.
So,
I'm encouraged by this as well, because like you're saying, we had the expectations for them. They've kind of made that up. They've got there in a different way, but they're kind of right in the thick of things because their record's not too different from the Blue Jays, for example, right? At this point.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Oh wait,
it's about the same, yeah.
Yeah, they have the same record right now as the Blue Jays.
Right. So, and kind of some of their players are really starting to figure things out. Like Julio Rodriguez is looking like an absolute superstar now. Jesse Winker's playing better of late. Suarez has been pretty solid for the most part this season. So they've got some good things going on.
I actually feel like I may need to correct my how long the streak is here in about 15 minutes. Because they're going into the bottom of the 9th up 2-0 against Washington in game 2 of the doubleheader. So by the end of this episode, it's very, very possibly going to be a 10-game winning streak. So let's see. But yeah, so I guess that that kind of leads us right into maybe talking about the home run derby lineup a little bit, because you were just talking about Julio Rodriguez, who has been he's the rookie of the year favorite. He's the rookie of the year favorite. I think he's probably going to be rookie of the year unless something drastic happens in the second half. But
there's some good candidates, though, for sure. Bobby Witt, Jeremy Pena have both been really good too.
Yeah, that's true. But I think the way that Julio's been playing, I feel like unless the other two like turn it on and Julio has a rough stretch, like it's his to lose is kind of where it's at right now. Because he's playing, I don't want to say superstar level, but he's making a lot of parallels to guys who became superstars prior to, or after their rookie season, obviously. But Julio did today announce that he's going to participate in the home run derby, which is going to be amazing. This dude has so much power. And this home run derby lineup, unless something happened here in the last like 20 minutes, it's not even a full lineup yet. Like, I don't think they have an 8th guy. But it is, let's see. Yeah. So I'm not seeing anything new. Chat, if you see an 8th guy join, let us know. But this home run derby lineup right now: Julio Rodriguez, Back-to-back champion Pete Alonso. The fifth time in the home run derby, legend Albert Pujols. Juan Soto is back. We have Jose Ramirez is participating this year. Kyle Schwarber is participating this year. Ronald Acuna Jr. is participating this year. This might be the most stacked home run derby we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, the Pete Alonso thing's really funny because of how serious he takes it. Like, he actually wants nothing more than to like destroy all his opponents in this thing. The last 2 years he's shown that. Like, he's not taking this like easy.
And as a pre-arb guy, like, that's a significant amount of money, so I get it. Like, out of this entire group, the only guys who really don't need it or need to win it, I guess, from a financial standpoint, are Albert Pujols for very obvious reasons. Acuna probably doesn't need to because he signed that big contract, even though it's an incredibly team-friendly deal, and he should have got way more than he did.
They all have big deals, right? Other than Julio and Pete.
I thought Soto didn't sign one, did he?
Soto, yeah, but he makes plenty of money though.
That's fair.
So
he is an ARB. Right?
Oh, speaking of Soto, he just hit a home run.
Oh, did he?
Off Paul Sewald in the 9th inning.
Is this Pete's first year of arbitration? Because he didn't make very much money last year.
Yeah, it might be his first year.
So maybe he has less financial stake in it this year than he did before. But, like, I get it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even think it's about the money. I think he's just that competitive and he just wants to win.
Well, that too. And his swing is kind of built for a home run derby championship.
So I'm really curious about Jose Ramirez. Is he going to bat both? Is he going to bat both left and right in the home run derby?
That would be cool. I doubt it, because what's his splits, power splits? Do you know?
I think better as a lefty, but I don't know.
I would assume better as a lefty, and let's see.
I'll check real quick.
Handedness.
He's just got.
What in the world? Does he only have 4 home runs? No. What is going on here?
So he basically doesn't have splits. He's been very similar from both the left and the right for his entire career. So 359 OBP, 349 as a lefty, 512 slugging as a righty, 496 as a lefty. So he could go either way, honestly.
I see what I was looking at. I was looking at the home run thing in the header, and then I accidentally looked over to the left one to triples. Threw me off. He's got a lot of triples. But yeah, I would assume he's going to do it as a lefty, though, because he does have 14 home runs this year as a lefty.
Yeah, but that's just because he bats lefty more. But
yeah, but I mean, I feel like for something like this, if his goal is to win it, he's probably going to do it as a lefty. If he's doing it for fun, we'll probably see him do it from both sides, which will be really cool. I kind of hope he's just in it to have some fun. So
I'm in it for the fun. So what else about the home run derby? Albert Pujols, he's really old. Did he ever win it?
I don't remember, actually.
I don't think he did.
I don't think so. Let me look it up. Run derby. I cannot type.
And yeah, new format of home run derby is really much better, I feel like, than before with the bracket. So it should be a good time.
So it turns out if you just type in home run derby, it's only going to tell you anything about this year's. So winners. No, it does not look like Albert has ever won it. This is going to be his 5th. which is going to be kind of cool. He does have the 8th most home runs in home run derby history. I'm kind of surprised he's got more than King Griffey Jr., but even though King Griffey Jr. played in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 home run derbies compared to Albert's 4 so far. But yeah, so this will be really cool, though. I kind of hope that they can convince Miggy to do it, too. Because imagine having the 2 legends versus 6 of the young studs in the league. I guess Schwarber's not really a young stud, but just the pure power in that man.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, I think Schwarber and Alonso have the most like raw power in the group.
Yeah, and I think Schwarber has the most raw power in the group, which I think could make it interesting if he puts as much effort into this as Pete does.
Yeah, he's been in it before. He showed pretty well one year, a few years back.
But hot take: this is going to be the highest home run derby we've ever had. And maybe it's not a hot take, but that's my prediction. So we will come back here in a week and see if I was right. Okay, so switching up from the home run derby a little bit, going to the actual All-Star game rosters. So this is the first year that the commissioners ever got to add players to the team. So now, under the new CBA, the commissioner has the ability to add 1 player per league for quote unquote career achievements. And so this year he added Albert Pujols in his final year to the All-Star game roster for the National League, and Miguel Cabrera for the American League. Miguel Cabrera is probably around for this year, next year, and maybe the one after that, playing out his contract. But he did reach his 3,000th hit at the beginning of the year. He hit his 500th home run at the very end of last year. So bringing in these 2 absolute legends of the game back to the All-Star game for maybe their last go-around at an All-Star game. What's your thoughts on that, Gowie? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Where are you at on it?
I like it. I got no issue with it whatsoever. I mean, my big thing on the All-Star game is that I don't care that much about the random All-Stars that just are having like a random good 3 months of the season. I much prefer to see the actual All-Stars, the stars of the game. And even though Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera are not really star players anymore, they are legends of the game. So might as well just recognize them. And everyone wants to see them play. Like, even if they're old, who cares?
Yeah, and I saw I've seen a couple people with the take that they hate it because they want these young guys to get a chance. And it's like, well, one, these young guys will have a lot more chances. But yeah, you're kind of right. Like, there's some of these guys, like Julio definitely deserves it from the way that he's been playing so far. And he's a young rising star. Like, love to see that. But there's other guys that maybe have been good. I'm trying to think of an example. Stephen Kwan, for example. Like, you can make the argument that maybe he should have had a case. His case kind of started falling apart after about a month, but just for argument's sake, we'll use him. And then you're sitting here saying that Miguel Cabrera is taking his roster spot. Well, one, no, they've expanded the roster by 1 player to add Miggy. It's not like they're going to get that much playing time and that anyone's going to get that much playing time. And to be honest, they might not even put Albert or Miggy in the game. Maybe for 1 at bat, and that's it. But the focus is going to be on the guys who were voted in by the fans. Like, so I don't know. I kind of hate the take that some people have that it's terrible for the All-Star game. Like, one, the All-Star game means literally nothing
anymore. Yeah. It's just a pure exhibition at this point, which is a good thing.
Yeah. It's fun to watch. That's it. Like, yeah. So why not have the legends there? Like, Are we just going to kick him to the curb like some sports do? Let's bring him in. So, all right. So that is the last thing I wanted to talk about with the All-Star game until we get to the Futures game here in a bit. So we got two more things. One of them we'll do pretty quick because we've kind of talked about it a lot. And that is another team going to Toronto, putting people on the restricted list. The Kansas City Royals are getting ready to go up to Toronto and are putting 10 of the 26 players on the restricted list for this series. 10.
So
That's
they're
insane.
basically a AAA team.
Yeah.
I think they actually have to fill from AA because they just don't have enough players.
Yeah. According to Jeff Passan, a total of 25 players have been prevented from playing in Toronto. Total. Now, 10 Kansas City Royals are being added to that list. So it's going from 25 to 35 because of one team. That's insane. But, oh well, that's I just wanted to get that out because that frustrates the hell out of me. We're going to get a lot of Major League debuts, though. So that'd be cool.
Actually, do you know if those replacement players count to the 40-man roster? Do they have to make those moves?
No.
It's separate.
Yeah, it's separate. So I think they have to come off the taxi squad. Because the taxi squad does still exist.
Imagine that situation if they actually had to make 40-man roster moves. Yeah. Then the teams would be mandating the vaccine for their employees.
Yeah, and they really should. All right, so we got one more thing on This Week in Baseball. I'll let you take it.
All right, so Chris Sale back in the major leagues, pitching a game yesterday against the Rays, and he looked pretty good. He looked like good Chris Sale. He pitched 5 innings, didn't give up any runs. I think he struck out 5, walked 1, 3 hits allowed. So Chris Sale, one of my favorite pitchers that I've watched in my life, I think. And I'm glad he's finally back because he's been so injured the last 3 seasons with the Tommy John, the rib injury this year. So that's going to be a huge boost if they have him, if the Red Sox have him pitching like the way we know he can when he's actually healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris Sale is, he's definitely one of those guys that you love watching him play because just the pure fire that he plays with is just really cool to watch. And that slider is just nuts. So I'm really glad to see him with a pretty solid start. The strikeouts weren't really there on the level that he usually pitches at. But I mean, dude just came back from 2 broken rib injuries. So give him a couple games. He'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you say we finally get to what we were coming in to talk about a little bit today?
Prospects.
Oh, prospects. So we always talk about the All-Star game and how it's the best of the best players in the major leagues plus. Nah, I'm not going to do that. I was going to be mean. I was going to throw out a name just to get at Matthew, but I won't. He's actually been really good, so I don't want to be mean. But yeah, so the best of the best, and some players who, because there's one representative for every team, maybe you wouldn't say they're the best of the best, but they're the best of their team. Guys in the realm of Joe Mantiply, maybe, and Paul Blackburn. Guys from teams that are really not that great, but we never really talk about the futures games, which is where you get to see the best of the best prospects all play on the same field. Really, no matter what level the minors they're at. I think usually it's double to triple A, but you do see guys in A ball. But yeah, so we kind of wanted to look at this roster and then some past rosters and kind of look at some of the interesting guys from 2012 to 2017 and just kind of take a look at their careers. Because usually, if you play in the futures game, you're probably going to have a pretty solid major league career. For instance, in 2013, this is not the list that I thought it was. No, I think 2013 was actually the one that we said was not great, wasn't it? Let's see. 2012 futures game. No, I'll come to 2012. Well, so I was gonna go through the 2022 first, but I just wanted to mention, like, for instance, in 2012, the futures game, you got guys like Garrett Cole, Jake Odorizzi, Tyler Skaggs, Jameson Taillon, Zach Wheeler, Nolan Arenado, Nick Castellanos. The list just goes on. It's a ton of guys who end up with really good careers. Some guys that do play in the majors maybe aren't superstars. Billy Hamilton, Scooter Gennett. But yeah, so we wanted to take kind of a quick look at this year, just let you know who's in it. There's a lot of top 100 prospects this year, and kind of the guys that I'm excited about, obviously, are Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn for the Cardinals. But, like, I don't know, who are you excited about in this year's Future Stars game, Gabby? Do you have the roster pulled up?
I did, but not right now.
So the Cubs prospect in it is Pete Crow Armstrong, the number 79 overall prospect. He's down at High A in South Bend there. We've got guys like Bobby Miller, Yuri Perez, the top prospects in baseball like Corbin Carroll and Francisco Alvarez, the number 2 and 3s. And then you've got some guys that maybe you've not heard of as much, in like Ken Waldachuk and Yasver Zulueta. But yeah, so this is going to be a really, really interesting game because it's, how many top hundreds are in here? 1, 2. There are 13 top 100 prospects in the American League roster, and 1, 2, 16, 17, and 18 top 100 prospects in the National League roster. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's a lot of top prospects. Getting back to Yuri Perez with the Marlins, that guy is going to be amazingly good. He's 6'8". He's like 20 years old, pitching in Double-A, striking out like everybody, like 12 per 9 or something. He seems like he's going to be in the major leagues next year, and that's going to be pretty cool, especially considering all the pitching talent they already have. And this guy could potentially be near the top of that rotation. That would be amazing.
So where is, or I don't really want to compare him necessarily, but like, well, now I can't even think of the other dude's name that I want to talk about. The other young pitcher that just came up and has been really good this year, starting
for the Marlins.
Yeah. Crap. I can think of his face. I cannot think of his name. Please hold while I go to roster resource here to help me out. This is awkward.
The only 2 names stuck in my head are Braxton Garrett and Daniel Castano, but I don't think that's what you're thinking of.
Is he back in? Oh, he's on the IL. Edward Cabrera.
Oh, Edward
Cabrera. Yeah. So
he only made a couple starts.
Yeah, he did play out of the bullpen last year and was really good.
He started last year,
yeah. But is his pitching style, is Yuri Perez's pitching style anywhere like Edward Cabrera, or is he a completely different type of pitcher? Because like both of those guys coming up and being part of this rotation is a huge jolt to what was already a really good rotation.
I've heard that Perez already has like 4 pitches, which is amazing for a starter. You know, he's not like one of these guys in the minor leagues that still needs to develop that 3rd pitch. He's already got 4. So, and just the fact that he's kind of holding his own at Double-A, even though he's like 3-4 years younger than the average age at that level. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And kind of the guy outside of the Cardinals guys that I mentioned, who I'm kind of most excited to see, is He's the number 3 prospect in baseball, but Corbin Carroll, I think you just told me before the pod, he just got promoted to AAA. And he's a really young kid. He's well, I say really young. He's 21, so he's young, but he's 2019. But
experience-wise, he's really young because he didn't play at all last season because he was hurt the entire year, and he's come back from the shoulder injury and he dominated in AA.
Yeah, he played a total of 49 games prior to this year. 31 in rookie ball in 2019, 11 in low A in 2019. He did play 7 games at high A last year before getting hurt. So he's pretty much only played the 64 games this year across complex ball, AA, and now 2 games at triple.
I think if Carroll went to college, he was a high school pick. If he went to college and stayed there for like 3 years, he easily would have been like a top 5 pick. I think the only reason he lasted so long in the draft that he got picked is because he's pretty short. He's like 5'10". That's the only reason. He's amazing.
Well, and he's really not filled out his body yet either. He's 5'10", 165. Like, he's a little guy still. But yeah, like and you say he might have been a top 5 prospect. Well, he was already a top 16 prospect. So like
I say top 5 pick. Yeah.
He was already the number 16 pick. But yeah, no, this kid's going to be really, really good. And this Diamondbacks team, I think we've talked about a couple times, like, they're still not good, but they're looking a lot better than they used to be, even though they've definitely fallen off from when we were hyping them up, being down at 39-50 record now. But Corbin Carroll, I think, is going to be that next big piece that kind of vaults him up the standings there ahead of Colorado.
Not Joe Mantiply. He's not going to take them to the World Series.
I don't think reliever Joe Mantiply is going to take them to the World Series. No, I just he's really good. It's just a hunch. It's
whatever you say.
It's a hot take, I know. But yeah. So
I didn't know that Oscar Colas made the roster.
Yeah,
he's an interesting guy because of his pro career before he came stateside, where he actually played in Cuba and in Japan, and now he's with the White Sox. And he's another guy that just got promoted actually to AA, I believe.
And he is not playing 2-way in the States, is he?
No.
Okay, because he was a 2-way player in both Japan and Cuba. So, it was one of those that I think whenever he was in his international signing period, I think people were calling him the Cuban Ohtani.
Yeah.
And so him basically picking one is definitely, it's definitely going to give you thoughts of what could have been. But I do love to see that he's picking one to focus on. And if he can be a really good outfielder for the White Sox, that'd be really cool to see. I think some other big prospects that are in this, George Valera, who is the number 1 for the Guardians, I think. Anthony Volpe, Gunnar Henderson. Let's see who else. Diego Cartaya. Yeah, this is going to be a really cool game to watch on Saturday. Definitely watch it if you can. But yeah, so I guess with what I was saying before, though, is it kind of seems like these Future Stars team or the Futures Games teams are a lot of future stars. And looking back at like 2012 to 2016, like a 5-year period starting about 10 years ago, to where we have like a pretty solid base on if these guys panned out or not. Like, who are some of the interesting guys that have been on past ones? Like, I picked a lot of guys that I wanted to talk about that maybe aren't the biggest names, because it, like, yeah, you could say this guy, this Nolan Arenado was in the 2012 Futures game. Like, okay, everyone knows Nolan Arenado's story and all that, but I kind of wanted to talk about maybe some of the other guys that were on the roster. Maybe not busts, maybe just like guys who were journeymen or whatever. So that's kind of where I wanted to take the conversation. So I'll let you go first and see what you got. Let's start in 2012 though.
Yeah, sure. So in 2012, we got one Will Myers, who's had a very interesting career to this point, and he has never really been um, a superstar. I'm not sure if he's ever played on an all-star team or anything, but this guy was an incredibly hyped up prospect. In 2012, he was MLB's 19th ranked prospect. I think in 2013 he was even higher. So there were always like some major, huge expectations for Will Myers, and now he's been on like three different teams, and it didn't go the way that many thought it would go for him.
Yeah, because do you know kind of where was he supposed to be, like a power guy, an average guy? Kind of what was his prototype when he was a prospect? Do we even know that anymore?
Well, I mean, you look at 2013, that was kind of his peak, his rookie year. He won the Rookie of the Year. He hit 13 homers. He stole 5 bases. He hit 293. Everything was looking fantastic for him at that point. And then from there, it was just kind of meh performance the rest of the time.
Yeah, his average never got to that near 300 again. He did hit a lot more home runs there in 2016 and 17.
Yeah,
But
and I'm not even saying that Will Myers is a bad player.
oh no, it's just
He's had a fine career. He just is not a star. He's not a superstar or anything close.
Yeah. And the guy that I wanted to talk about is kind of in the same line, and that's Gene Segura. Like he's been a really solid player for basically his entire career. Early on, 2014, 2015 with Milwaukee is kind of the worst years he's had. But like he's been worth a solid 24 WAR over the course of his 9-year career here. And 10-year career? I don't know. I can't count. 10 or 11. But yeah, but like Gene Segura was the number 55 overall prospect back in 2012. Like he was not like the top guy, but really, really solid prospect. And
solid
he's
prospect, but I would say that he has reached the status of his like prospectness. Like he's had a great career. He's been much better than Will Myers, for example.
Yeah, but it's one of those guys that when you're looking back at those rosters, his name doesn't stand out to you. Like if you're not thinking about it, you almost are looking at him like, well, wait, futures game, is he a bust? Is like he's not an elite player like some of the other guys that played in this game. And so that's kind of why I wanted to mention him, is because like he's been really good. Like he's a career 285, 329, 410 hitter with 100 home runs. He's not a power guy either. He's got 200 career steals. His career strikeout rate is down at 13.8%. Like, and he's at 32 years old. I think he's like the part of the middle infield that the Phillies have figured out now. And so Gene Segura is just kind of a guy that I wanted to highlight as being like I think he's better than people are going to remember him for.
Yeah, I could see that, yeah.
So, all right. So what about 2013? Who's on that 2013 team that stands out to you?
Well, there are definitely some stars here, like Christian Yelich, Byron Buxton. Pitchers didn't really work out so well this year, but there's a few guys that were pretty good. I'll go with I don't know. Who should I go with here? I'll let you go. I know who you want to pick.
Well, so
if not, I'll pick him.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Jorge Soler, because Jorge Soler has got just a really interesting career to me, because he was the number 42 prospect in 2013. And I can't remember, did he debut in
2014?
14. So where was he on the prospect list in 2014? Let's see. I've got it pulled up. I just got to Control F. So he was the number 49 there. So he actually fell 7 spots between 13 and 14. But top 50 guy, and he's been on 3 teams now because he came up with Chicago. Didn't really, like, he was still young. He didn't play a ton of games, especially in 2014. He only played 24 games. He did hit 5 home runs with a 292, 330, 573 slash line. Looked like he was going to be amazing. And then over 101 games the next year, he just kind of was a bit lackluster. 86 games in 2016, same thing. He just never got a regular shot. Goes over to Kansas City, is pretty bad, honestly, for 2 straight years, and then goes off and hits 48 home runs. And then from there, his career has been wild because he had another like bad season in Kansas City in 2020. So, not going to look too much into that. Plays half the season in Kansas City, gets traded over to be part of that that remade second half outfield for Atlanta last year, wins World Series MVP. Now he's in Miami, and his batting average is kind of gone again this year, but he's still hitting 13 home runs. So I don't know. His career is really weird to me because it's like really good prospect, started out hot, fell, all of a sudden took off in 2019, which was a juice ball year. But he's always been a guy with a ton of power. And just it's really hard to peg him because like a lot of that roster hitters wise did end up being really, really good. And he's one of them that like I look at it and it's like I think he's good, but I think maybe he's not. So
he's definitely been really up and down. I don't know if you remember this, but when Jorge Soler originally signed with the Cubs, his contract was very interesting. It was a 9-year contract for $30 million. So the Cubs ended up actually trading like years of control for Wade Davis before the 17 season. And Soler's career kind of took off when he got traded to the Royals. He was way better outside of that like first season where he only played 35 games. But the next few years he was pretty good. And obviously he had that 48 home run season, which was crazy. And then he's a World Series MVP. Like his career is clearly a success.
Yeah. Like it's definitely a success, but I don't think it's the way that anybody, including himself, thought it would go.
Yeah, definitely not.
All right, so
he's only 30 at this point. Yeah. So, I mean, there could be many more chapters of this story.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so have you figured out who you want to talk about for 13, or do we want to just go to 14?
Yeah, I want to talk about Christian Bethancourt.
All right.
So, wait, is he on this team? Yeah, he is. Christian Bethancourt.
He was on the 13 team?
Yeah. Christian Bethancourt was a huge catching prospect for the Braves, and he never could really hit. He had an insane arm. At one point, he switched positions to be a pitcher with the Padres. And then at one point, he went to Korea. Now he's back, and he joined the A's this year. And people were like, oh, it's Christian Bethancourt. Like, this guy's terrible. He can't do anything. And he's played the best he's ever played in his major league career this year, near 10 years after he was playing in the Futures game. And he's actually played so well that the Rays went out and traded for him last week. So kind of cool story of perseverance. He's had an incredibly weird career when you think about the position change and the change back and going to a different country. And this guy's done everything.
Well, and there was a short period of time where it wasn't just a position change. It's that they were trying him out kind of as a two-way for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, because he was a two-way before Ohtani came to the league. It didn't pan out, but...
Because he couldn't pitch and he couldn't hit.
Yeah. But, yeah, Christian Bethancourt, in 2014, he was the number 82 prospect in baseball. Like, I don't have the 2013 top prospects list pulled up, but in 14, he was the number 82. And
He was 91 in 2012. In 2013, I think he was a little bit higher too. So
yeah,
he'd been on top 100 prospect list for a long time.
yeah. So he's one of those guys that, like, even with his career year this year, like, he's still gonna go down in history, I think, as a bust, probably. But like, he's made a solid career out of not living up to his top prospect status. So, but yeah, so he's really interesting. He's actually one of the guys I was going to mention for 2014. But I think going to 14, I'm actually going to switch and go to a much higher prospect who has been a much higher, or he's been a bigger mainstay, I guess, in the majors is the way to say it. And that is current 29-year-old. Holy crap, I thought he was like mid 30s. Maikel Franco. So Maikel Franco was the number 26 prospect in baseball back in 2014. He came up with the Phillies. He was, I thought, supposed to be kind of this power third baseman. Wasn't really supposed to be necessarily good defensively. That panned out over the course of his career. Like, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't elite by any means. He's no Matt Chapman, Nolan Arenado. He was just like a solid defensive third baseman. And he just, for years, just could not unlock his hitting. And even to this day, he really still hasn't. Like, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of his 10-year career with negative WAR. And he's got a career 945, 294, 416, only 128 career home runs, with 60, now with 70 of them being in a 3-year period from 2016 to 2018. So, like, he's, I think, like the one guy who, I don't know. He's weird to me because, like, everything about him to me says bust, but he's made a really good career.
He's made a good career in the fact that he's played so long, but like, he's clearly not very good.
Yeah.
His last 3 teams have been the Royals, the Orioles, and the Nationals. Kind of just like teams that need a person to stand over near the third base bag.
Yeah, and not completely lose them games defensively.
Yeah, but he's been worth like negative 0.9 WAR just this season alone. So he's not been very productive, and I think his career is just about over, I'll be honest.
I think it is too, which is sad to say, because there was a long time where I actually was kind of hyped on him. I think it was back in that, it was kind of middle, late college, so it would have been that 2015-16 timeframe, I think, when I was kind of big on him, thought that he was going to be really good. And he went off and hit 25 home runs in 16, 24 and 17, but then just never was able to replicate that. So.
Yep. He definitely had a lot of talent. It just never came together for him for whatever reason.
Yeah. All right. 2015. Who strikes your fancy here?
Oh, we're skipping 14. Okay.
Oh, dude. Oh, my bad. Who strikes your fancy for 4? I had Christian Bethancourt listed in the notes, so I forgot.
I was gonna go with Julio Urias, who I don't know how old he was at this time, but he was pretty young.
Probably 16.
Yeah, like, guy was one of the youngest, pitchers to. He was 17 years old when he pitched a perfect inning in the 2014 Futures game. He was the youngest player to take place in that showcase. So he's basically like a high school age kid pitching against these guys in AA, AAA, all much, much older than him. And he's always been kind of an elite talent. And that was pretty clear right from the start. So I don't have a whole lot to say on him, just that everyone kind of knew that he was going to be really good.
Yeah. All right. So 15. So I've kind of made a habit here of picking guys who, I guess Gene Segura was solid, but like, I don't know, I've been picking guys with careers that are kind of interesting to me, and maybe not the best ways there with Maikel Franco. But for 2015, I want to talk about JP Crawford, because in 2015, JP Crawford was 20 years old. He was playing in the Futures game as the number 21 prospect in baseball. And he's a guy that he's been solid basically his entire time in the majors, especially defensively. And just could not figure it out with the bat. Like he was around 220 average for his first 3 years. Hit 10 home runs over those 3 years. Walked quite a bit. Struck out pretty average. But it's kind of what he's done here in the last couple years that makes him really interesting to me. So he went to Seattle in 2019, but then there in 2020, he started to kind of break out. He in that year, which was the shortened season, he played 53 games, 2 home runs, 6 steals, and he's really fast, by the way. It got his average up into the 250s. His strikeout rate all the way down to 16%. And then he's replicated that like the next 2 years. He had 9 home runs last year. He's got 5 so far this year. His average has been around 270 over the last 2 years, and he's put up like 5 WAR. Like JP Crawford, it took him a long time to get to his to where he was in the prospect status there, being the 21 overall prospect. But I think now that he's kind of at 26, 27 years old in his physical prime, he's kind of showing why he was that big of a prospect. And he's been a really solid piece for this Mariners team that is trying to take it to the next level. So,
yeah, that's a good pick. I didn't want to pick a single player because I'm looking at these rosters and what actually happened in this game in 2015. There are a lot of players that people would consider superstars right now, or at least stars from this game. So Kyle Schwarber won the most valuable player in this game. Edwin Diaz pitched. Aaron Judge, Josh Bell, Trevor Story, Trey Turner, Matt Olson, all in this game. So
yeah, so let me just read you just the infielders and catchers list here, because I might just give you the entire U.S. Teams roster, to be honest. But so Kyle Farmer and Kyle Schwarber for the catchers. Josh Bell, J.P. Crawford, Tony Kemp, Matt Olson, Richie Schaefer. Admittedly, I don't know him. Trevor Story and Trey Turner for the infield. Conforto, Judge, Brandon Nimmo, and then Kyle Waldrop, Nick Williams, and Bradley Zimmer, who are not as big a names there. But that was just the U.S. team's hitters. Like, that's how good this Futures game was. Like, then kind of highlights of the pitchers there was Amir Garrett, Lucas Giolito, Aaron Nola, Blake Snell. Over on the world team, Jose Barrios, Edwin Diaz, Frankie Montas, Gary Sanchez, and Ozzy Albies were on this team. Orlando Arcia, Rafi Devers, Ketel Marte. Like, this game was stacked. Alex Reyes and Max Kepler were supposed to be in the game, and they ended up getting hurt and replaced on the roster. But like, dang, that is a good roster. So, all right, got any other guys you want to talk about there, or 2016?
Let's go to 2016.
All right. I think 2016, I want to talk about the best Lithuanian baseball player of all time.
Dovydas
Neverauskas. Dovydas Neverauskas didn't have a very long career in the majors. He pitched from 2017 to 2020, but he's been in the Pirates system since as far back as 2010, when he was 17 years old. He played in the 2016 Futures game. He wasn't really a huge prospect, but he's just one of those guys that I think we saw a lot being in the Central. And so he just kind of stands out to me as being an interesting pick here. But yeah, for 20, I'm trying to take his minor league stats out of here. Yeah, like he didn't really have the best major league career. He never once had a positive WAR or even a 0 WAR. His ERA was 6.81. He only had 80 innings in the majors total, but it's definitely interesting seeing a guy who had been in their organization for so long from a country that doesn't really give you very many baseball players. Like,
yeah, I think that's the cool part.
Yeah,
that's the cool thing about that they do in the futures game, even though it's not separated by USA and World now, but they still get players from all different countries, and that's a cool way to showcase some of these talented players.
Yeah. All right. So who you got for 2016? This is the last one of the day, so make it good.
I'll go with David Dahl, who is another guy that started out his career really promisingly, and I thought he was going to be great, and then he just sort of just faded off, and he was always hurt, and that was the problem with his career, I think. And he actually just recently got released by the Brewers. He was in their minor league system, and
remember when I wanted David Dahl in the Cardinals? Like, it was like the one thing I wanted for Christmas that year.
Yeah, I wanted him on the Cubs, and that didn't work out when he signed with the Rangers.
Yeah. How did he end up a free agent? Because he had only been like
they non-tendered him.
Oh, right. I do remember that
now we kind of understand the reason why, maybe.
Yeah, because his 2019 was stellar. 15 home runs, 302 average. Excuse me. About an 877 OPS for a 111 WRC plus, and he was solid defensively. Not good, but serviceable. Yeah, so he really had high expectations coming out of that year and just never was able to find that again. It's a shame, but yeah, but I guess finishing up on kind of a low note there for some of these players, but like we said, if you're in the Future Stars game, you're probably going to have a pretty solid major league career, and there's going to be a lot of really, really, really good superstar players coming out of this one, I think. Because looking back at any particular Futures game roster, there's like a solid 7 or 8 guys that you look at and go, yeah, they're superstars. Or all-stars, at least. So.
Yeah, actually, maybe that's the way we should have gone about it, or we can look at this later, but how many of the Futures games players become all-stars later?
That is a good point. Let's write that down. I'm curious. Maybe we talk about that next Wednesday. Yeah. How do I hide this? Oh, nope. That is not what I wanted. Let's go with that. Yeah. So I think that's really all we've got for today, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about. So
don't think so.
So thank you all very much for hanging out with us tonight. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube. Make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Make sure you let us know your thoughts in the YouTube comments or leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or on Twitter or Facebook or even TikTok comments. If I post another TikTok, I'm trying to get better at that one. I keep coming up with ideas and then forgetting to record them. So we're making progress because now I have ideas. And that's at Getaway Day Pod. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you back here next week.